Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here in Hollywood, California. I am, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you guys joining us as we kick off this new week talking about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, a little bit of television, some other things along the way as well. And, of course, it's always a great day when you got Robert Meyer Burnett in as well. Robert, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, yesterday I was lost without football. Were you lost? I mean, the Pro Bowl was on, but
Oh, who cares about the Pro Bowl? I mean, it was weird.
Russell Wilson, though.
And then we've got that dark time coming that the Super Bowl's over. It's like, what do I do with my Sundays? Spend time with family?
Well, build Starship models.
Or build Starship models, yes. And, of course, one of the best Starship model builders we know, of course, is sitting over there, Ashley Whalen. Ashley, how you doing today?
It is my secret trade.
Wow.
It's what you do more than anything else.
Every Sunday. I'm great. Yeah, I caught up on some shows this weekend. We were just talking about it. Saw Maniac, Assassination of Versace. It was awesome.
I got so much TV I have to get. I haven't even started
it's overwhelming.
Punisher Season 2.
I haven't either.
I just haven't had time to get around to it. Like, there's so much stuff I got to get caught up on. Well, speaking of getting caught up, guys, before we get into our main topics, a couple of things we want to mention off the top here. One interesting thing came out in Deadline. Apparently, now we know the Morbius movie is coming. We know a Ghostbusters movie is coming, all that kind of stuff. Well, they've now got official dates for these movies. Ghostbusters and the new Morbius have got dates. Deadline put out a report here and basically said this: Ghostbusters has a July 10th, so it's like a year and a half before it's in theaters. July 10th, 2020 release date. And Morbius, starring Jared Leto and based on Marvel's vampire antihero, will come just 3 weeks later on July 31st. So that's when Morbius is coming. Now, if you go down a little bit further down there, you see that the studio is also placeholder for a Marvel pick on October 2nd, 2020. That is presumably going to be Venom 2, which is interesting because you're talking about July, August, September, 3 months after Morbius, we're looking at getting Venom 2. So, Rob, that's a whole bunch of information there about 3 separate films: Ghostbusters, Morbius, Venom 2. What do you think about the strategy right there, assuming that this October date is indeed for Venom 2, which is what it all looks like,
right,
of having Morbius and then just Venom 2 like 3 months later? What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's a vote of confidence from the studio. So the scripts are apparently good. I mean, to me, it means that we as audiences are going to win because they have confidence on all 3 projects now, hopefully, and they're all going to get made. And that's always a good thing. I mean, especially, I wouldn't say that they're rushing them into production because a year and a half is still a respectable time to finish a film.
Oh, and who knows how long they've already been working on this. They could have been working on these for the last 8 months.
Right, absolutely. I mean, I don't think this Ghostbusters 2 thing, or Ghostbusters 3, Ghostbusters reboot, Redux, whatever you want to call it, this did not just come out of nowhere. They were planning it for a while. And I think it's great. I think it's great for us. You know, it's great for the audience.
I had as much fun with Venom as anybody. I had a really good time with Venom. And I'm really excited that Sony seems to be developing at least the first step in trying to develop their own cinematic universe. Now that Fox is disappearing, we need another player in the game here. I like the character of Morbius. I do. I do too. Still find it to be an odd choice. Like, following up, like, even a Kraven the Hunter seems like that would have been a little bit safer of a choice, like a little bit more palatable to the average movie-going audience. But they've gone Morbius. Look, I love the idea of Jared Leto playing it. They seem to be moving full steam ahead. So like you're saying, it looks like they have some confidence in it.
Yeah, although I do, like you said, I think it's an odd choice. I mean, Morbius, the living vampire, that's cool. I mean, I always wanted Jared Leto to play Lestat.
He would have been good in that.
I mean, the vampire Lestat's one of my favorite genre novels ever. And why they never made that sequel, they went from Interview with the Vampire right to Queen of the Damned, and we never got a Vampire Lestat, which is my favorite of those books. And I wanted him to play that, but he's going to play Morbius instead.
I mean, to go against my own point about Morbius feeling like a weird choice, is it any weirder than a Venom movie without a Spider-Man? No. Is it any weirder than that? And that worked out pretty damn well, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. All right, guys. Also, right off the top here, speaking in the comic book genre, we've known for a while that, speaking of odd choices, we've got a Birds of Prey movie coming out.
Right.
And called The Fabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn is the title of the film, which is a weird title, but that's what it is. Now, kind of the go-to place for news and updates and that thing has become Margot Robbie's social media.
Right.
And It's no different now. Now, they're also put out a little video clip today of just some quick shots of people in the shadows and Harley Quinn saying, see you soon. But the main thing really was this image. Margot Robbie put out this image of her as Harley Quinn, all decked out, looking a little gem in the holograms-ish. So a little bit that. Now, here's an interesting thing, though. What you cannot see in this image with the naked eye is you notice she's got that little dog bone tag on her neck there, right?
Yep.
When you zoom in on the dog bone tag, do you know what it says?
I just love that you did that.
Yeah, me too.
But do you know what it says?
I do not.
Take a wild guess.
I don't know. Crypto?
Interesting. I would have thought maybe puddin'. I would have thought J or something like this. Hold your hats, folks. Says Bruce. It says Bruce on it.
Wow.
So Bruce Wayne. Then I've seen some people like, does that mean Bruce Wayne? Does that mean that her and Bruce Wayne have a thing? Or is it just a little Easter egg, a tip of the hat to Bruce Timm?
Maybe she's a big fan of the Evil Dead.
Or
Bruce
maybe
Campbell.
she's a fan of the Evil Dead. Maybe it's just one of those little things in there that's not even meant to mean anything. It's just a little Easter egg. But I thought that was fascinating. Look, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn was probably the absolute, you're not going to find many people disagree that it was the absolute best part of an otherwise forgettable film.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had fun with Suicide Squad, but it was a hot mess of a movie.
Ugh.
But her casting in it was great. She completely owned the role. She's defined for a lot of people now what we think of when we think of Harley Quinn. And I look, if I'm a DC exec, I still am not greenlighting this movie. But I will admit I'm a little bit curious about it. What are your thoughts, first of all, the image and just of Birds of Prey in general?
Well, I just want to believe that Margot Robbie's like that all the time. I just look at that, and every time I've ever seen her interviewed, or she just seems like the coolest woman ever. And she is an unbelievably great actress. She was amazing in Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, she was great,
incredible as Tanya Harding.
Oh,
I mean, talk about
so
chameleon-like, and she's Australian. And the fact that she's sort of taken control of her career and it's like, no, this is going to be my signature role, and I'm going to dive right into it. I have a lot of respect for her as an actress and as a business person navigating Hollywood. I think that this movie's going to be great. I really do.
I got a chance to hang out with her a little bit. She was in this movie last year. I can't remember the name of it. It was with Simon Pegg and Mike Myers. And it was like this kind of twisted sort of idea. And she was the lead, and I can't even remember the name of it right now. But she was just she carries herself with a lot of grace in a room, because we're at the after party. She's just like, she owns a room when she's in it.
Right.
She just kind of exudes movie star
Yeah.
in all the best ways, in all
Yeah.
the best possible ways that I mean. So anyway, what do you guys think of the picture? And more importantly, what does it mean that the dog tag says Bruce? Probably nothing, but
I'm reminded that that's a hot toy I don't own.
oh, the Harley Quinn.
I do not have the Harley Quinn.
It's a
hot
really
toy.
good one.
I know. And
I can't believe you don't have that, as a matter of fact.
I know.
All right, guys, let's now move on to our main topics. How do we select our main topics around here? Well, it's really rather simple. You guys select them by emailing us your topics anytime, 24/7, to john@thejohncampeashow.com. That's john@thejohncampeashow.com. Make sure you put the word topic in the subject line. And as always, guys, keep those emails to 90 words or less. With that out of the way, Ashley, what's up first?
Okay, first one of the day is from Ryan Lewis. It feels like only the other day we were trying to figure out when we will be seeing a new Christopher Nolan film. Well, according to Hollywood Reporter and a few other outlets, we know his next film is set for a July 2020 release date. Exciting news, as with every one of his films, they are an event to follow. Now we can begin speculating. Sequel to something? I wonder. Thank you, and keep up the filth.
Yeah, it is weird because, as you pointed out last week, one of the questions that somebody sent in was, is Christopher Nolan waiting too long to do his next film?
Right.
And we're like, guys, it's Christopher Nolan. And
Yeah.
give him a little bit of a break. Well, it's coming. What's making it extra exciting is not just that, kind of like the Ghostbusters news dropped out of nowhere, and it's coming. Christopher Nolan's next movie is coming, which means he's been working on this for a while, which we suspected. We suspected he's probably been working on whatever this is for some time. So we kind of thought that. I got tweeted by a couple people saying, what's the big deal with Christopher Nolan? Like, the Batman films were forever ago, right? And it's like, well, wait a minute, time out. Look, Steven Spielberg is the GOAT, in my opinion. Steven Spielberg is the greatest filmmaker of all time. But today, like we can say LeBron James is the greatest player in the world, maybe, but today you might want to go James Harden just because of the streak he's on. Spielberg may be the GOAT, but right now it's a Christopher Nolan world that we just live in. Take a look at this. Now, this list here, I did not include his first feature film, which I believe is called Following.
Which I own on Blu-ray.
Which never had a wide studio release.
No.
So we're not counting that one. Here are all of Christopher Nolan's films. This is what he's directed. Look at this garbage. Memento, which is awesome. Insomnia, which, by the way, is my favorite Christopher Nolan film.
Wow.
I love Insomnia. Batman, then he became the Batman guy.
Which was a risk. You know,
Huge
Warner Brothers
risk.
took this guy. They really obviously had a great experience when he made Insomnia, which is a remake, but you give him 2 Hollywood stars, and it went well. So the studio's like, come with us.
Yeah.
Come to Warner Brothers, and here's Batman. What can you do?
Yeah, and it was a risk because he was still a little bit of an unproven
Yeah.
commodity, but he kind of, brings a new dimension to the comic book genre idea of it. Then he steps away from the comic book movies, which I think should be most directors' pattern, and he does The Prestige,
Which was based on a book,
yeah,
a
and
literary
which
adaptation.
is awesome. Then he comes back. He does The Dark Knight, which a lot of people hail as the greatest comic book movie of all time. Then he goes out away from Batman again, does Inception, which is a lot of people's favorite Christopher Nolan movie.
It's mine, and it almost made $1 billion.
Yeah.
And I remember reading articles when it came out that the Warner Brothers publicity people are like, oh, no one's going to go see this movie. And they were like, we take all the credit in the world for the almost $1 billion it made. And I was like, get out of town. Come on.
And then he comes back to Batman again, does what might be, wrap your head around this, what may be his worst film, The Dark Knight Rises, which, oh, by the way, made $1 billion and a lot of people love. And this may be his worst movie. Then he does Interstellar. Then he does Dunkirk. Finally gets his Best Director nomination for Dunkirk.
And who would have thought that a movie about an event that Americans aren't even aware of, you know, and he made an art film about this period of British history in the middle of World War II. And it also was it wasn't $1 billion hit, but it was a hit.
It was a big hit, and it's marvelous.
It's marvelous.
This is what, why is everybody always talking about Christopher Nolan? This is why people are always talking about Christopher Nolan, because the guy squats over and craps out gold. Like he just, whatever he touches. There are so few directors in Hollywood today who have a bat phone line to Warner Brothers,
Right.
who are just, as soon as he wakes up in the morning, yawns and goes, I think I'm ready to do another movie. Studios pound their faces against his window saying, we greenlight it. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. We'll greenlight it. Warner Brothers has been staying in the business of Christopher Nolan very wisely for a long time. And here's one of the exciting things about this piece of news, Robert. They're not just saying it's another film. They're calling it an event picture.
Sure.
So again, that means big. But they're asking here, okay, a new Christopher Nolan. What should we expect? I don't think sequel, because other than Batman, that doesn't seem to be his jam. But what are you thinking we make it? Because he totally threw us all a curveball by doing Dunkirk. Where do you think Christopher Nolan could be going next?
I think, like Inception, it's going to be an original property that he and his brother Jonathan probably came up with. And when they say event picture, I would imagine it'll be something, whether it's science fiction, it'll be some kind of fantasy slanted film in some way. And I bet it's going to be huge. I mean, Inception, if you watch it, is a huge movie. I mean, huge things happen in that film.
Oh, yeah.
Cities fold over on themselves.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's a huge movie. I think we're going to get something along those lines.
Ashley, let me ask you, looking at this list of films that he had, what's your favorite Christopher Nolan film, and where do you think he's going to go next?
I love Christopher Nolan. I love the Batman. It's hard. I literally like everything on that list. I had some qualms with Dunkirk. I think I was overly excited to go see it, and then the soundtrack was like it was amazing, but a little it was resonated too much the whole time. I was like, okay, it's too much. But I think my favorite, Interstellar, I don't think as a whole is my favorite. I like the Batman Begins the best. But that part with Matthew McConaughey will stay with me forever when he's watching his life unfold on the TV.
Oh.
That was one of the hardest things to watch I think I've ever seen before. So I don't know where he's gonna go. I kind of agree with you. I feel like he's gonna stick to maybe like some like warped reality sci-fi. I
Yeah.
hope so, because I mean, he's so good at it. Like Inception was incredible. So I'm hoping he does just something like out of this world, gigantic.
See, with Jordan Peele though and Edgar Wright doing that, I would really love to see him go horror. I would love to see Christopher Nolan go like deep psychological horror. I think him and Jonathan could absolutely crush something like that.
Yeah, I just, it's funny. I like Gore Verbinski, who made The Ring.
Yeah.
I was really excited to see A Cure for Wellness, and I was really disappointed.
So was I.
I was like, come on. I mean, I get what he was trying to do, and I just watched it, and it was so disappointing to me. I would hate to see Christopher Nolan. Same with Crimson Peak. Like, I love Guillermo del Toro and Crimson Peak, which I thought was a beautifully made movie, just like The Cure for Wellness, that just didn't work for me at all. So I don't want him to do that.
Oh,
if he's going to do some horror, I would love to see if Guillermo del Toro can't make In the Mountains of Madness, I would love to see some Cthulhu-like, the old ones, just horrible demons from hell to take over the earth. I'd love to see something
more
like
psychological horror, but maybe some. I mean,
Yeah.
who knows? But look, I think bottom line is it doesn't matter what he's doing next. If Christopher Nolan's making a next film, his track record just tells us we should get ready, and we should be excited about. So,
Indeed.
let's see what he gives us. All right, with that out of the way. What's next?
All right, next one is from Jamal. Hey guys, did you see that Black Widow is going to be an R-rated movie? Yes, I've wanted Marvel to get into R-rated stuff for a long time. So do you think a Black Widow R-rated movie will work? And can it open a door for Deadpool to actually come into the MCU and be R-rated too? Man, the possibilities here are pretty big. What do you think? What do you think, Robert?
Well, look, I think in the action spy genre, whether it's John Wick or whether it's Red Sparrow that we saw Jennifer Lawrence in, even Black Widow's origin is R-rated. You can't deal with where she came from and how she was. They sterilized her so she couldn't have kids. I mean, it's rough. It's rough to be a Russian spy, and I think that
it's tough being a Russian spy.
And I like this. I mean, I like that we're going to get a rough and tumble, no punches Black Widow film, because if you're going to delve into her character and delve into where she came from, it isn't pretty. She didn't have a great early life. And if she's, I'd love to see her go after the people that turned her into what she is. Or she has to go out and get, I don't know, her former compatriot. They showdown between these ladies, something like that. I love that stuff. Bring it on.
The idea is intriguing, but this ain't real. I'm sorry, dude. I know you sounded so excited about this R-rated thing.
It's not true?
It's not real.
Oh, man.
Now,
why do you got to play me like that, John?
As in everything, look, there is a glimpse of a chance it's real. Sure, there's a possibility. But we shouldn't even be talking about this. Why? What do I always tell you guys when these news stories come? Look to the source. Where I know all these websites are running these headlines. Reports say... I love it when they say, reports say that Black Widow is this, and also all these what, and you know where they got it from? You know where it comes from? Not from you, Rob, not from me. It comes from this little gossip blog that's made from a WordPress stock template called Crazy Days and Nights. It's a little gossip thing. And all it says in it is, they're looking at making it do a rated R, and then it says this in its report. It says, Marvel is doing it because they want to test the waters with rated R, and if it doesn't work, they can blame it on it being a female woman film.
Oh,
and it's like, okay, first of all, if Marvel was going to do that, they wouldn't put out a Captain Marvel first, right? If they wanted to blame it on it being a woman film, well, sorry, they're already going to be disproving their own point by putting out Captain Marvel first. And then look, just like... the other day when there was a story that came out from some guy's little website and it wasn't his fault at all. This is another situation where there is this little site. And if you're saying, John, I've never heard of Crazy Days and Nights. Well, there's a reason for that. I mean, you've never heard of it. Now, again, that does not mean it is impossible that it's true.
Right.
Sure. But this website reporting this is no different than, Billy, the plumber from Toledo, getting on his old MySpace account and saying, I heard that so-and-so is going to be rated R. And then everybody runs headlines with it. So my thought is this. Is it impossible that's true? No. Nothing that anybody says on the internet is impossible to be true.
Right.
But should people be running headlines with this? And I'll tell you what, I made it a headline just so we can say we should not be listening to this.
You set me up. You suckered me into answering this question.
That was the email. That wasn't me. That was the email that came in.
I don't understand why people... I've liked girls pretty much since I was 5. I don't understand. I would watch anything with girls in them. Why is this? Why do people not want to see... Why is this constantly said, I don't want to see if a female hero doesn't work?
I know. These people are trying to build in excuses and all that kind of stuff. But now, that being said, what you said is absolutely true. If there is any existing member of the Avengers circle
Right.
whose story could be rated R, you could go in those types of directions. Spy thriller certainly falls under that category.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you were so accurate and so right when you talked about her origin is pretty grim and bleak and going back there. And if you again look to Red Sparrow, which is a different cinematic universe altogether, but
Right, but similar origin story.
yeah, that sort of thing. I mean, look, in theory, like put aside where the story came from. In theory, could you do a Black Widow movie rated R? You could. I still don't believe for 1 second Bob Iger will raise his holy scepter and bless Kevin Feige to go forth and make R-rated films. I still don't think it's going to happen, but it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I remember there was that controversy when, she has that exchange with Mark Ruffalo and she talks about how she's a monster.
Right.
And people were people were all indignant saying, "Oh, she thinks she's a monster because she can't have children."
No,
and I was like,
that wasn't the point.
She was turned into a killing machine.
Yes.
I mean, the part of her sterilization was to make her a more effective agent that she's not going to decide to have kids one day
have
and leave the
attachments
service.
and-
Yeah, she had you can't have those attachments, so they've turned her into a monstrous killing machine with no remorse. I mean, she was able to sort of move away from her programming, but that's why she calls herself a monster, because she was born and bred to be a killer.
By the way, she gave even though I've always talked about I'm not really interested in a Black Widow movie or a Hawkeye movie, whatever, she gives my favorite line in all of the MCU. And we've talked about it before. My favorite line in all of the MCU was in Avengers Age of Ultron. And they start to show to us there's a budding romance between her and Dr. Bruce, right? And the line was, and I love this line, she goes, I've known all these guys, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but she basically says, I've known all these guys all my life, ready to run into the fight. And then I meet this guy who runs away from the fight, not because he's scared, but because he knows he'll win. And I can still get chills when I think of that line. That line that's like one of the best lines ever, and it came out of Age of Ultron.
Well,
So
one
go
of my favorite science fiction films of the last decade is a movie called Under the Skin.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
That she's in, and I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but it's based on a novel that I had read before I had seen the movie. And I couldn't believe they were making a movie of it, but she's fantastic in that movie.
Yeah. Well, point to me something that maybe the movie's not fantastic. Point to me something that Scarlett Johansson doesn't bring it.
Right.
She brings it. I mean, she just does. All right. With that down, what's next?
Yeah, she's incredible. All right, finish Q. Hello, folks. Because you've been talking about it for over a year, I've been very interested in Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile about Ted Bundy.
And we'll bring up the right email there. There we go.
There we are. The trailer came out this weekend, and my response to it was very strong. I think this movie appears to be very good, and I'm anxious to see it as soon as possible. What do you think of the trailer, and how good do you think the movie will be now that you've seen it? Thank you very much.
The trailer dropped. I've been very excited to see this trailer because even though he gets a bad rap, I think Zac Efron is a very talented actor who is not always in the best movies per se. Not always in the best movies, but a really gifted, very good actor, and I love watching him. So, but again, if you haven't seen Me and Orson Welles, watch Me and Orson Welles.
Yeah.
He's wonderful in that. And so I've been very curious to see that. So it not only did the trailer drop, it played for its first screenings at Sundance.
Yeah.
And getting some really good reactions. Like last I checked, it had like a 68% or whatever. But even the critics who don't like the film are raving about Zac Efron as Ted Bundy. And you know what's funny? Before I had a chance to click on the video and watch the trailer, I saw a few people online complaining that the trailer romanticized Ted Bundy and like glorified serial killers. And I'm like, well, wait 1 second here. The name of the movie is extremely wicked, and I always get the botch it up, but incredibly wicked and vile. But part of what made Ted Bundy, and to me this is the most horrifying and chilling thing, the thing that made him able to get away with murdering 35 people, and the thing that made him able to get by so much and win people over, was he had this incredible dynamic charm about him. And it's that juxtaposed against the reality of what he was that makes it even more terrifying to me. So when I watched this trailer, does the trailer highlight the charm of Ted Bundy? Absolutely it did. Because that's a vital thing to understand.
Yeah.
If you're going to get the title extremely wicked, extremely evil, incredibly wicked and vile, you have to juxtapose that. So I simply don't know how anybody watched that and felt like this is making him seem like a hero. The name of the movie is extremely wicked, incredibly evil and vile. There is nobody trying to convince you he was a hero. And it was that charm. You just don't get the story of Ted Bundy if you don't understand that charm aspect of him and how he charmed everyone's socks off. He had a wife and a kid and everybody just eating out of his hand. And if you don't communicate that in a trailer, you're not getting the picture of what this was.
Right.
So I look, for me, that left me shaken, the trailer. I was shaken by it, and that's exactly what I wanted to get out of the trailer. So I don't know if the movie itself is fabulous or not. I was not at Sundance. I didn't go down to watch it, so I don't know. But I do know I love the trailer, and it's made me even more excited.
Well, what's interesting, too, is the 4-part documentary, the Ted Bundy tapes dropped on Netflix last week, and you listen to that, and it's just chilling. I mean, you hear him. The series Mindhunter that David Fincher produced, which was about the beginning of FBI profiling, which really started in the late 70s. And Ted Bundy was one of the people that was primarily involved. And he's interviewed on those tapes. And, you know, serial predators, they've always fascinated me. I can't get enough of books about serial killers. And why does America in particular, why do we have a preponderance of them compared to the rest of the world? And it fascinates me. And the Ted Bundy stories, it's insane. I mean, what he did to women and how he was able to get away with it.
He was a monster.
He was a monster, and nobody could believe that he existed. Like, nobody would look at Ted Bundy and go, well, that's the guy. You know, he was, I mean, incredible story. So, and I don't think it's going to glorify him.
No, I don't think that's in the cards at all. I don't think that's in the cards at all. And if it is, you'll hear me bitch and moan and complain about it. But I didn't get that from the trailer. But
no, I didn't either.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. All right, let's move on to email number 4.
Okay, this is from Franklin Benjamin. I guess we all knew it was coming, but it still makes me a bit sick to my stomach. Aquaman is now the highest money-making movie in the history of DC Comics, including, and I can't believe we have to say it, more than The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. Look, I'm a DC fan, and I'm really happy for Aquaman's success here, but come on. Aquaman isn't 1/10 the movie that The Dark Knight is. How the hell does something like this happen? Make sense of this crazy world, John.
All right, so, yeah, I mean, it's now happened at I think it's $1.09 billion, something like that. Aquaman is now the highest grossing DC film, not just the DCEU, because it's already been the highest grossing DCEU film for a little bit. It is now the highest grossing DC film, period, eclipsing Dark Knight, Dark Knight Rises. Let's put this into perspective. Let's take a look at this. So Aquaman is now the number one DC film with $1.09 billion. Dark Knight Rises is now in second place at 1.084. The Dark Knight at 1.004. Batman vs. Superman at $873 million. Wonder Woman at $821 million. And Suicide Squad, which everybody forgets that movie performed this well, man.
It did.
Everybody forgets. It made $746 million. Interesting thing to note here. This is worldwide numbers. Domestically, it's strange. Aquaman's actually the 6th highest grossing DC film domestically, making $316 million domestic, outperformed domestically by Suicide Squad, Batman vs. Superman, Wonder Woman, Dark Knight Rises, and The Dark Knight, which made more than any DC film domestically, making over half of its box office at $533 million domestically alone. So it's a little bit of a tale of two cities here. A little bit of tale of two cities, but still, overall, that's the most important number. And Aquaman is now the biggest one. Okay, listen. I get your frustration and your pain if you're saying, this is an injustice that Aquaman makes more money than this. Let's remember a couple of things here. Nobody seriously is trying to make any arguments that Aquaman is a better movie than The Dark Knight. There's nobody making any of these arguments. That's not true. And box office totals mean a lot, but they don't necessarily mean one movie is better than another. Just because one movie makes more money than another does not mean it's a better movie than the other, right? So don't worry about that. But Robert, this is one of the things I try to tell people all the time when they're comparing box offices of particularly comic book movies from 8 years ago, 10 years ago, or longer to box office today. You've got to remember this. When The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises came out, comic book movies were not the preeminently dominant genre of the movie industry. That is something that has grown and developed with the groundwork being laid by Marvel and the MCU. Films like Batman, the Dark Knight, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight Rises, all that sorts of thing. So we now live in an era now where comic book movies are the most dominant force in the movie industry. Were The Dark Knight to be released today, I have no doubt it would have made more than $1.08 billion. I have no doubt about that. That it would have been a $1.5, $1.6, $1.7 billion film. But it is one of those founding movies of this new age of comic book films that helped lay the groundwork. So part of the reason Aquaman was able to be so successful, and I'm really glad it is because of that foundation work that Christopher Nolan and movies like The Dark Knight did, because of the foundation work that the MCU has done, and even to some degree the foundation of the DCEU before it. These films are all a product of all the things that came before it. That doesn't mean they're all going to make $1 billion, doesn't mean they're all going to make $600 million.
Right.
But don't worry. Nobody's saying Aquaman makes more. And if anything, this is yet another feather in the cap to The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, because in the DC world, it laid that foundation and increased the audience for these films that Aquaman and others today get to enjoy. Robert, how would you respond to this very passionate email that we got on this?
It makes me hark back to, I worked for a director for a year in the early 90s, and he made a charming movie about baseball called Pastime. And in that movie, a character, a coach, says to sort of an aging over-the-hill pitcher this advice. He gives him this advice. He says, listen, man, I'm paraphrasing. It doesn't matter how good somebody else is. It doesn't make you any better or any worse. And what he meant by that was, why look at someone else and judge them? How does it affect you? It doesn't really affect you. And it's something that resonated with me through my whole life. And I think about it when our viewer, Franklin Benjamin, says this. It shouldn't matter how much money a movie makes and comparing it to another film, because what's great is that the genre itself is healthy. It doesn't matter that Dark Knight made less money than Aquaman. What matters is that the studios are making these movies, and we're getting these grand. I mean, Aquaman couldn't be a different movie than. It's so different than The Dark Knight and Heath Ledger's performance. It's great that we just live in a world where we get both movies.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that great?
And I love box office numbers. I do, because I believe box office numbers tell stories. They tell us stories. This story, though, isn't that Aquaman's better than The Dark Knight.
Right.
The story these numbers tell us, and this is why I love box office, and I love analyzing box office. The story it tells is of a genre that has grown and developed and matured, and we're getting these places and having more and more success. That's the story it tells here.
I couldn't agree with you more.
So yeah, I think this is a good thing. Nothing to be sad about, my friend. Nothing to be sad about. This is something to be happy about.
This should not crash your plane.
Oh, God. All right. Last email of the day.
I do love that you made the point that if The Dark Knight came out today, then it would be in the $1 billion, because
easy.
I mean, of course, but I never even thought of it like that. I mean,
Yeah.
and that is one of the best openings to any movie of all time, in my opinion. I love it.
Oh,
All right.
so good.
Incredible.
So good.
He who bumps in the night says, I'll never forget the night Roman Reigns stepped away from the WWE to fight his leukemia battle. It was a really moving moment. So yeah, I was pumped to see that he's now in Hobbs and Shaw with his cousin Dwayne Johnson playing Hobbs' brother. I know you used to be a big wrestling fan. What's your reaction to Reigns appearing in the movie?
Yeah, for those of you who haven't seen, and this caught me by surprise a little bit, new images from Hobbs and Shaw came out. First of all, take a look at this dude. This is Roman Reigns. He was pretty much one of the big, if not the big, marquee star of the WWE for a couple years. Tremendous in-ring talent. He's a very good athlete in the ring. He's a great performer, all that kind of stuff. The women love him. He's the good looks. And he is actually cousins with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. They have some very similar tattoos, as a matter of fact. So they put out this image that surprised a lot of people. Check this out. This is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson put this image out of Roman Reigns actually went on to the movie with him. Now, first of all, you do me a favor, John. Let's go back to that last picture of Roman. This kid, this is a big dude.
Right.
Now let's go to the next picture. He is dwarfed by Dwayne. Look at Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. This dude is about to celebrate his 47th birthday.
Wow.
Look at the size of this guy. Anyway, for those of you who don't know the story of Roman Reigns, WWE performer, but earlier in his career, he had to take a hiatus because he had to battle a cancer condition. And he overcame it. He was declared cancer-free. Became a huge star in the WWE, huge star. But it was about, I remember, I don't watch wrestling much anymore. Ann flew to Phoenix last night just to go watch the WWE Royal Rumble. So her and Corey went there to watch Royal Rumble live. But I don't watch it a lot anymore. I watch the big events here and there. But I remember I got a bunch of tweets from people saying Roman Reigns has to walk away because his cancer, at the time they're saying his cancer had returned. And I watched his speech. So he came out to the ring. He was the champion at the time, I believe, so I had to relinquish his belt and just say, it was a great speech. And the essence of the speech was, hey guys, give me a minute. I gotta go kick this thing's ass again, and then I'll be back. Like, it was really inspirational, really cool. For him to now pop up in this movie, look, I don't know that this kid's a thespian by any stretch of the imagination, but if all he's got to do, and apparently in the movie he's playing Hobbs' brother. He's playing Randy Savage's. He's playing Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's brother. Why was I saying Randy the Macho Man Savage? I don't know. But he's playing The Rock's brother in it. And I'm sure he'll have a couple of lines, and they'll do what a good director needs to do, which is hide the fact of what an actor's limitations are and exploit the things that this guy can do on screen well. So they're going to have this guy in action and in combat and seeing these guys. And I think it's wonderful. I think it's inspiring. It's not going to influence the movie too terribly much, but I think it's a great story. Rob, you hear about something like this, and, justice for Han aside.
Well, I was going to say.
What do you think about this?
Well, since you brought it up, I think Mr. Reigns coming back twice from beating cancer. My very good friend Mike Schertz, who I did a video series with called Crisis Medicine, that it's a medical lecture series. He also beat cancer twice.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he's a father, and it was rough. I mean, it was a rough battle. So to have him come back, it's terrific. But, even that aside, I mean, I think him being in that film without proper justice for Han, and he hasn't come out, and he's congratulations that he's beat cancer twice. But where is?
Well, I don't know if
justice?
he's beat it yet. But
well.
I mean, but clearly he's enough on his feet that
no one's talking about how Han has gone unavenged in Hobbs and Shaw, that they're even making Hobbs and Shaw without justice for Han.
Oh, one of the greatest moments in cinematic history, when Shaw courageously, nay, regally, kills Han and walks away from his exploding car. The majesty of that scene.
I used
glorious.
to like you. I used to like doing the show. Since you brought Ashley on, it's made it a little bit more palatable.
Thank you.
But one day, Campea, one day, Sun Kang is going to sit here between us, and Sun Kang is going to have words for you, son.
And I'll tell you what his words are going to be.
Sung is going to have words for him, son.
He's going to be, I'm glad I got a chance to play such a challenging dick of a role, and to go out in that explosion at the hands of the great Shaw was an honor. That's what he's going to say. You bring him in here. That's what he's going to say.
I get up early to take the train in from Holland to come all the way here for this kind of abuse. One day, Justice for Han, hashtag, be sure and tag Sun Kang too.
All right, well, speaking of hashtags, that will do it for all of our emailed in questions. But a bunch of you guys are sending in some live stuff. So as we like to do around here at the John Campea Show, we like to take some time to take your live questions. So let's do that right now. Ashley, what have we got?
Okay, awesome. The first one is from Jason Larsella. I'm guessing the Warcraft sequel is shelved?
I honestly don't know. Look, the Warcraft was supposed to be this movie that was going to break the curse of video game movies and usher in a golden era. You had an incredible director assigned to it. And I will tell you what, as somebody who has spent more hours playing Warcraft than any adult should admit to doing, I was enamored with the film still because I really felt like it took me into Azeroth, but it also had some glaring weaknesses, and a lot of people didn't like it. It did very badly domestically, but did great in some overseas market. I still think at the end of the day, I think it made somewhere around $500 million, I believe. A sequel is still possible, but I mean, yeah, at this point, with no news about anything, I don't know how likely it is, so it may be shelved. I don't know. We'll still have to wait and see. All right, what's next?
Okay, next one's from Jay Bling. Watch Tag with Ed Helms on HBO over the weekend. Those slow-mo play-by-plays were a better Sherlock Holmes spoof than I suspect Holmes and Watson was.
You know, Rob, I can't remember if you had a chance to check out Tag this year, but it was one of the real pleasant surprise movies for me.
You keep saying that, and I really look. It's right up my alley. I really want to see it. I love the cast. I mean, I saw Game Night, even though it's unrelated, but I still think of it as I love Game Night, and I've been missing these kinds of comedies.
It's just got, this is a film that's really got some heart to it. And make sure you watch the end credits. When you watch this movie, I just felt so much joy watching the end credits. See, I'll tell you what it is. It's no other movie footage. What it is it's based on real guys who've been playing the same game of tag for about 30 plus years, as a way to make sure they stay in each other's lives.
Right.
And it's what runs over the credits is actual home video footage of these guys over the years playing this game of tag. Like one guy who hasn't seen the other guy in 2 years shows up at his workplace on the other side of the country in a disguise and tags his buddy and goes, tag! And like, now that guy is it. It just makes your heart happy. It's just really, really good. And Ed Helms, I'm not a big Ed Helms fan. Look, I'll tell you straight up, I am not a big Ed Helms fan. I really liked him in this film. I liked him in this a lot. All right, what's next?
All right, Ben Rainier. Thoughts on Dracula, Dead and Loving It?
I never liked it.
You know what? I wanted to like it.
Sure. I think we all did.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
DC Patience. SAG Award wins. Yay for Emily Blunt, Bohemian, Black Panther. Made me appreciate the ensemble cast in Black Panther with powerful performances by so many great actors.
You know, the Emily Blunt thing once again confounds me a little bit because, you know, we talked about this. I can't remember if we did last week or I talked about it on open mic. We've talked about how in the Oscars, it's not the whole Academy that makes the nominations. It's the individual branches that put forward the nominations for their division. Directors nominate directors. Actors nominate actors. Most of the directors in the directing branch of the Academy are DGA members. They're members of the DGA, the Directors Guild of America. So how did Ben Affleck win Best Director at the DGAs for Argo and then not get nominated for an Academy Award when it's a lot of the same people? With the SAGs, it's the same thing. Just about everybody in the actors branch of the Academy are SAG members.
Yep.
SAG does their awards. Emily Blunt wins Best Supporting Actress. I wouldn't have put her as supporting. I would have put her as lead, but whatever. Best Supporting Actress for A Quiet Place. And yet these same people didn't nominate her when they went to vote in the Academy Awards. I will never, it's an anomaly. It doesn't happen often, but it is an anomaly that I just have no idea how this happens. And I'm thrilled for Emily Blunt. And she gave if you didn't hear her speech, she talked about her husband, John Campea. It's a great speech. Look it up. It's funny and heartfelt. But I'm super thrilled for her. But it's these little anomalies. I just don't know how they happen.
Yeah, I don't know either. And I love her. She's always going to be the angel
great.
of Verdun to me from Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Yeah, she's amazing. She's so like poised and funny. She's so funny and
Yeah.
cool.
She's classy, yet you feel like she would be the class clown at the same time.
Yeah,
She's
I feel
great.
Like we would be best friends. All right, Murray Reich. Over under 30% Super Bowl 53 goes into overtime.
Oh man, it's a good thing. Look, the reason the New England Patriots are in the Super Bowl is because primarily against the Chargers and then later against the Chiefs, they weren't able to put a hand on Tom Brady. And when you give Tom Brady time, he is the GOAT. He will destroy you. He will pick you apart and destroy you. The LA's got two guys on their line named Sue and Donald.
Yes, they do.
They're going to get their hands on Tom Brady. They're not going to get like 8 sacks, but they're going to get their hands on Tom Brady. They're going to harass him all game. They're going to be in his face. That's why I'm cheering for the Patriots. I'm cheering for them hard But I do not believe Tom Brady is going to be given the time he needs to destroy the Rams the way he's destroyed everybody else. And I am actually predicting Rams win by 8. I don't think this game goes to overtime. So I'll take the under on that.
Wow, I'll take the under on that too. I've always said every team that's playing against the Patriots is my favorite team.
Yeah, so you like a lot of loser teams then.
Well,
because they just win.
You know
what they say? The conquered always whine about the conquerors. All right.
Would you, Quintus? Would I?
Would you, Quintus? That's a great line from
so
Gladiator.
People should
Pulling
know
out
when they're
some Gladiator
conquered.
there. I love it. All right, what's next?
All right, next is from Mark Blaza. John, you're such a big ass troll with that Obi-Wan movie joke. You had me going there big time. Then the big reveal. Haha.
Okay, so here's what. Let me set the stage for you guys for what Mark is talking about. On yesterday's installment of Open Mic,
You trolled somebody?
I trolled a lot of people. So here's what happened. Little background to the story. And a couple of years ago, I found out very far in advance that in Star Wars The Last Jedi, Snoke dies, and it's Kylo Ren that kills him. I found that out about 6 months to a year before the movie came out from somebody involved with the production. So I told my audience at the time, I know this mind-boggling spoiler for the upcoming movie, and I told it to Josh. I said, I'm going to tell Josh what it is. Just so when the movie comes out, yeah.
You told him?
Well, he was on the show with me at the time.
You expect him to keep a secret?
He did.
Oh, okay.
He kept the secret.
All right.
So I told it to him. I said, just so you guys know, so when the movie comes out, he can verify that this was the spoiler, but I don't want to share it with anybody right now. So somebody on Open Mic yesterday gets on and asks, John, you had that big spoiler that you kept from everybody else. Do you have any of those for the upcoming movie? And I said, honestly, no. I know nothing about Star Wars Episode 9, and I don't, blah, blah, blah. 2 questions later, somebody asks about these reports that Ewan McGregor might have been seen visiting one of the sets of Star Wars Episode 9, blah, blah, blah. And I did this. I'm like, and I tell you guys, when I want to act, I can act. Because I'm like, all right, guys, I'll tell you what. Look, I told you I don't know anything about Star Wars Episode 9, and I don't. But I do know this. At Star Wars Celebration in April, I have found out from very reliable sources that they are going to be announcing the Obi-Wan movie coming out in 2020. They're going to announce that in April and blah, blah, blah. And I let that just simmer for about 30 seconds. And then I went, I'm just kidding. That is not true. I don't know. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, my God. The live chat board. Son of a bitch. And all this kind of stuff. Yeah, so that wasn't true, but that is what Mark is referring to. I had a lot of fun with it, though.
I'll bet you did.
It was fun. I didn't like let it go for a day, though. I let it last for 30 seconds, and then I let everybody know. You know what the funny thing is? It is very possible that they announce an Obi-Wan movie at Star Wars Celebration in April in Chicago. It's very possible they do that.
I'm surprised they haven't yet. I mean, if I could make any Star Wars movie, I'd love to do an Obi-Wan trilogy from the end of Revenge of the Sith to and end it where Star Wars begins, where he's in the jungle and wastes or whatever. What a natural film to make.
Yeah. So who knows? Maybe they will. But if they do, don't go, John knew it all along.
Right.
No, I would have just been lucky. Let's be clear about that. All right, what's next?
All right, next one is Mike Hill. I love Mondays because I get to see you all talk about movies after a hard day work.
That's it. Look, it is always great when you can get together with friends. I tell you what, Robert, I tell people this all the time. My favorite part about this job is not, supermodels and actresses from all over the world
Although
constantly,
that's good.
begging me to spend 5 minutes of time with me. It's not that. That's never happened, by the way. It's the fact that I know every time I get in front of a camera, I get to hang out with other movie fans. You know what? You told a story before about how, growing up in high school, you had a bunch of friends, you had your social circles, but there was no hardcore movie fans.
No.
You couldn't talk about it with anybody. And the thing I love about this job so much is that every day, whether I'm at my home studio doing open mic or we're here, we can get on here and talk with our international friends from all over the frickin' world and talk about movies. And I love that.
I love it too. The only problem with being on this show is that no one really loves Han as much as I do.
No one
And
in
my
the world
co-host
does.
is
No one in the world
openly-
does, apparently.
It's openly. No, I won't. We can't keep that joke going always.
All right.
One day it'll end.
What's next?
Kyle B., can you guys help settle a debate between me and my bro? Do you think Rick Grimes is a top 10 TV character of this generation? Personally, I think he is.
Huh.
That's that's a great question, Kyle. I'm gonna lean no, but I I would have a hard time debating anybody that because I could see some very valid argument. Look, Walking Dead is one of the most successful shows of all time. It's had, what is it, in its 8th season now or something? 7th or 8th? It's had long legs. You're talking about the lead character of the show. Of course, whenever I think of Rick, I don't even think of Rick. I think of Negan. Rick! Ray. Ray doesn't want to do it. Ray can't do it on command. He can't do it on command. A little Spider-Man Spider-Verse for you. But Ray does the best Negan saying Rick. Where are you going, Rick? Like whenever Ray does it around the house, I just die. I start laughing so much. I would lean no, but I could see a valid argument to say this. What do you think?
Yeah, he doesn't pop into my mind the way, say, someone like Tony Soprano does, or the same way that John Hamm's character in Mad Men does. But I could see that. I mean, Rick Grimes is a great character.
All right, what's next?
Andrew Lee, I, Tanya, solidified my unpopular view that figure skating is more sport than golf, NASCAR, and baseball. The athleticism required is so far beyond.
Yeah, I mean, no, you cannot be. It's not like a baseball team where you can be 310 pounds and completely out of shape and still play left field if you want to, or play first base. Right. I mean, yeah, it's crazy, and it's a subjective sport because it's got to be voted on by judges. But look, you just try putting on. I always get, as a Canadian, I am genetically bred to skate. Okay, that's one thing. But you watch people trying to skate, and it's hilarious.
Oh.
To do the things that figure skaters do is just almost a divinity kind of level that they can pull this off. It is some of the craziest stuff in the world.
Yeah.
Especially if you understand skating at all. Because some of the things, it's like, you know how they say a bumblebee scientifically should not be able to fly. Aerodynamically, bees cannot fly, and yet they do. Some of the things figure skaters do should not be physically possible, and yet they do it. It's kind of crazy. All right, what's next?
I mean, I can't even spin 3 times right here without getting dizzy. Like,
oh, yeah, no, yeah.
You
When you see when they do that stuff, it's like, I'm looking, I'm like,
actually insane.
I literally want to vomit just watching them do it.
Yep.
I don't even
It's
get it.
crazy. All right.
Yeah. James Walsh, over under 40%. Joaquin Phoenix shows up at Comic-Con.
Ooh, I'll tell you what, 40's a good line. That's a good line, 40%.
I'm going to go over, man.
I'm going to go over too, because I'll tell you what. First of all, the Loki thing with Tom Hiddleston was killer. Johnny Depp did it last year, and it went over really well. Johnny Depp doing it as Grindelwald, that went over well. And Warner Brothers did that with him, and it's the same company. Oh, my God. If you wanted to make that place explode, Joaquin Phoenix coming out as the Joker would be... The internet would break.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, I'm not going to say 60 or 70%, but I agree with you, Rob. I'm going to take the over on 40. We'll take the over on 40. All right, what's next?
I would die. He's a master.
He's
of the craft.
great.
Master. Brian Esparza, what's the best action sequence ever in a film?
That's really up for debate. We could sit there and make lines. It's hard. I mean, off the top of my head, I keep going back to that airport scene in Civil War. I mean, that's great. But there are lots. It's just I'd have to sit down and make a list.
One of my favorite action sequences is it's like 40 minutes long. It's the hospital siege in John Woo's Hard Boiled.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a lot of gunplay, but it's just so audacious, and the long camera moves and shots. I love that. I love John Woo. I love Hard Boiled. I love The Killer. I love Bullet in the Head.
Again, it's difficult to just say definitively just off the top of my head. So, yeah, I might come up with a totally different list if I had time.
Yeah, and it's what kind of an action sequence? Like, there's car chases. I would say the end of all of Mad Max Fury Road has incredible unbelievable car stunts. Terminator 2, I mean, there's so many great.
Terminator.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Yeah, it's too many good ones. Sun Kang, let me settle the debate. My character Han was a whiny jerk, and I thank Shaw for doing what was necessary. The world is better off. I deserved it.
There's a true actor who just owns the vileness of his character. And do you think, who's the director again, or the actor again who played Snape? Who's the director who played Snape again? And who played Hans Gruber? Alan Rickman. Why did I freeze on the name Alan Rickman? You think Alan Rickman's going to say Hans Gruber was a good guy? No. He was a jerk and he deserved to die, and I love the way I got to have him go out. That's Sun Kang, ladies and gentlemen.
Man, when you bathe in the masterpiece that is The Drift, Han has this place where girls just stay at his place all night, and he's got cars and motorcycles. He's got his great hair. Who wouldn't want to be Sun Kang's character of Han Solo? Come on.
What's next?
Spencer Main, hi John and Rob. If a Black Widow movie is indeed being made, do you want to see her encounter with the Winter Soldier or Budapest?
I mean, look, I don't know. Look, Marvel seems to like peppering in other characters with their character standalone movies. We're gonna get Winter Soldier though in a Winter Soldier and Falcon show.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Here's what I do know. I don't want flashback. I don't want a previous show because I think they're going to do that with Loki. So I don't want them to do that with other shows too. So I believe we'll see others, but maybe a Maria Hill or I don't know. I don't think this will be Winter Soldier.
I don't either. I think we're going to see they're going to really make of all the movies that Marvel could make that won't rely on cameos. I think Black Widow could be it.
Okay, what's next?
Johan Aglin with the SAG. Does Malik have any Oscar chances?
Of course. Yeah, Rehman Malik has definitely got an Oscar chance. I don't think he'll win, but he absolutely deserves the nomination.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he's in the conversation. Like, if they announce his name, I am not falling out of my chair and going, what? No, I don't think he'll win, but I think he's definitely got a shot for sure.
I do. Absolutely.
Yeah, no question. No question. All right, what's next?
All right, Murray. Do they still make G-rated and NC-17 movies?
Yes, but they're not often theatrically released.
Right.
So yeah, they're there, but they're not often. Like even the most kids films, they at least go PG for the most part.
You know, it is the 40th anniversary of Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and Star Trek: The Motion Picture was rated G.
No.
Yes.
It wouldn't have been today.
Probably not.
No, probably not. All right, what's next?
Adam Douglas. Pitt and Efron's careers are similar. Pitt was the pretty boy and wasn't taken seriously until the age 32 with Seven. Efron's now 32, and Bundy role could help propel him.
You know what? That's not a bad observation.
No.
That's actually not a bad observation at all. And I have always felt that Efron was an underrated actor. I've always felt he's a killer actor. No pun intended, actually. That he's a killer actor, and I think he would do great given the right roles. I mean, even in Paperboy.
Yeah.
He was quite good. I like your analogy, Adam. All right, what's next?
Let's not forget Legends of the Fall, though, guys.
Well, yeah,
Come
Legends
on.
of the Fall, and of course, girls driving off the cliff.
Thelma and
Louise. Thelma, his little part in Thelma and Louise that everybody still talks about.
He was great in that.
Yeah.
12 Monkeys.
The stoner in True Romance.
Oh my God.
Right.
Went down there.
I wept in Legends of the Fall so many times, though. Oh my God, that movie. Me and my sister would just watch it together all the time. All right, Spencer Mame. Also, John, do you think the MCU should take a break from Avengers movies after Endgame, or should they work towards new Avengers?
Maybe neither. Maybe neither do they need to take a break, nor are they really going to do a new Avengers. I mean, remember, this is kind of unique. Having Avengers come out 1 year after the last Avengers is not their normal operating procedure. So by a break 2 or 3 years till another Avengers movie, yeah, at least. But that would be normal operating procedure.
Right.
How different? Look, I do believe the next Avengers team will be different. I'm just not sure it's going to be as radically different as some people think it's going to be.
Maybe not. I mean, those movies are so much fun. Bring them on.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Ultron. Age of Ultron just gets better. I love the first Avengers, and I loved Infinity War. So why not bring on more?
All right. What's next?
I'm upset. Favorite Childish Gambino song? Mine's Feel Like Summer.
I only know
Bonfire.
that. I only know that one. What, This Is America? What's it called?
Oh, there's this America. I think Bonfire is probably my favorite one. All right. What's next?
Ryan Esparza. What movies come after Far From Home?
Well, we know they've already said they've got the director on board now. They're doing Doctor Strange 2. We know Black Panther 2.
The
is going to
Eternals.
be coming.
They've announced The Eternals.
Yeah, I'll believe that when I see it.
Yeah.
I'll believe it when I see it. It's kind of like where Ava DuVernay's New Gods is. I'll believe it when I see it. But we at least know those ones. I suspect we're going to get some announcements after Captain Marvel, prior to Avengers Endgame. I think we're going to get some announcements.
Yep.
All right, what's next?
Brian Esparza. He just wanted to avenge his brother. Justice for Shaw.
That's right. Justice for Shaw. Shaw gets a bad rap. He should be respected more. People aren't taking into consideration his feelings. They were these strangers who nearly killed his brother. He was justified in killing all of them if he had to.
What is it with you people? What is with the audience of this show?
All right, next.
Anybody but the Patriots sends in a super chat.
Yeah, so we'll just ban that user from the chat board.
No, he's my kind of people.
All right, what's
She's
next?
you are my kind of person.
Jared Reviews became a Patreon supporter. Keep up the great work.
Hey, thank you so much, Jared. I really appreciate that. And just for those of you who don't know, I'll give a little plug to it. Of course, one of the things that really keeps our channel alive is our Patreon supporters. There are a few perks to being a Patreon supporter. We have this great, very active Facebook group for just our Patreon supporters, and everybody has a great time in there. We also have audio. A lot of people ask me, John, why can't I find a podcast version of the show? Because that's just for our Patreon supporters. So there's audio-only versions of these shows for our Patreon supporters. And, Rob and Ashley and I just launched a new weekly podcast that we call John Campea Show Best of the Week, that we do every Friday that's exclusively for our Patreon supporters. And thank you guys for all the input you've been giving us in that so far. So thank you, Jared, for becoming a Patreon supporter, man. I really appreciate it. All right, what's next?
Devontae Brown, sorry for this, John, LOL, but needed to hear Robert's thoughts. Bill Maher's taking shit about Stan Lee again, LOL. It's just sad this time. He won't let go.
I for those who don't know, Bill Maher tripled down this weekend on a show about Stan Lee and people who like comic books.
Right. And just to get attention, and now we're going to give it to him.
Yeah, and I like Bill Maher, but again, what a misreading. I'm so tired of people have talked shit about genre, whether it's science fiction, fantasy, horror, comic books. I'm so tired. It's so reductive, and the world has moved on. He should just get a life.
And my whole feeling on it again is the same feeling I had the first time Bill Maher made his comments. Who cares? He's a nobody in this sphere. He is not a movie personality. But John, on IMDb, they were all little tiny bit roles, and he is not a movie personality. He has nothing to do with the comic book world. Who gives two shits about what Bill Maher says about Stan Lee? It's irrelevant. And the only reason he doubled and tripled down again was because he saw all the attention he got from the last one. Because his name's in the news, and everybody wants to give him exactly what he wants. Who cares? Look. I said this on my open mic show this weekend. I'll say it again. If Zack Snyder had came out and talked shit about Stan Lee, if Ben Affleck had come out and talked shit about Stan Lee, if Kevin Feige came out and said, glad we got rid of him, we don't have to put him in those stupid cameos anymore.
Right.
If Kevin Feige talked shit about, then it's something we need to address. Larry the plumber from Toledo said something on his MySpace page about who cares? Who's Larry the plumber from Toledo? He's irrelevant to us in our conversation just as much as Bill Maher is irrelevant to us in this conversation. So that's my feelings on it, and I never want to talk about it again. Anyway, what's next?
Jack Reacher, my sister really liked Return of the Jedi. Now she wants to watch the prequels. Love 3, but 1 and 2, yikes.
Yeah, they're all garbage, and 3 I call the least offensive of the 3.
Right.
But there are people who like those films. And you know what? I think they're steaming piles of garbage, but your sister may like them. So if anybody who wants to watch more movies, encourage it. And if she hates it, then she hates them. But if she loves them, she loves them. Yeah, don't discourage her. Let her. If she asks you, should I watch these? I would say no. But if she wants to, don't discourage her. Let her watch them. Because who knows? Maybe she'll be one of those people that really enjoy it. All right, what's next?
Murray says, Ram signs unknown free agent quarterback Fick Knowles to mysterious one-game contract.
Yeah, that Fick Knowles. Oh, that guy. I'm telling you what, you can't help but cheer for this Cinderella story. Like,
Yes.
Nick Foles comes in, and I told everybody last year, and nobody believed me. When he came in, Carson Wentz went down last year, and I was like, the Eagles are done now. I'm like, have you seen Nick Foles play quarterback? I watched this guy throw 7 touchdowns in one game once. Do not sleep on this guy. And he went all the way finals, and I called the Eagles. I was cheering for the Patriots. I said, Eagles will beat the Patriots because Nick Foles is for real. And he came out of nowhere, they had to win like their last 4 games to get into the playoffs. He wins them all. Then they beat Chicago. I believe it was Chicago they beat. And then they lose because a dude dropped a pass, which was unfortunate. But I'll tell you what, nothing would send, as a Patriots fan, all due respect to Goff, but as a Patriots fan, nothing would send more chills down my spine than to hear that Fick Knowles, mystery quarterback, signs 1-game contract. Nothing would send chills down my spine more than that. All due respect to Goff, but yeah, no thanks. All right, what's next?
Watcher X would much rather watch a Scarlet Witch film and a Black Widow series. I think Scarlet Witch could be very cinematic after Infinity War. What do you think?
It all depends. Look, anything can make a great movie if they do it the right way. And I certainly think Black Widow can. I certainly think Scarlet Witch can. But really, if you want to base it on what kind of depth have they given these characters so far, they really haven't given much to Scarlet Witch so far. Right. Now, she's getting a series, so they're going to fix that. So I don't know. I'm fine either way.
Yeah, I love Elizabeth Olsen.
Oh, sure.
So I'll watch her in anything. But yeah, they really haven't. I don't think they've given us enough as far as she is concerned in the movies to warrant. That's why the series intrigues me.
You know what? There's not much good about Old Boy, but the North American version. But if I didn't think I could be more uncomfortable than what was given in the original Old Boy, I'll tell you what. Elizabeth Olsen, Scarlet Witch, and Thanos. That. Oh my God! I've never felt that because I knew if you knew what was happening on screen, you're like, I don't feel good. Like, oh my God, that made me feel so. I shouldn't even think about it. Anyway, what's next?
Jack Reacher. Also, should we do prequels, Rogue One, Solo, then sequels, or would prequels, sequels, then Rogue One, and Solo?
It's dealer's choice. It really doesn't matter.
Look, again, if it's good. A good story, well told, as long as it's good. That's all I care about.
Look, what I might lean towards show her Rogue One and Solo because they're more attuned to what she has now already seen, and maybe then launch her into. But really, it's dealer's choice.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. But look, I think that both Solo and Rogue One are really enjoyable films.
I agree. I like Rogue One even more. But I like Solo. All right, what's next?
Orange Hand. Which is hotter, Earth's Core or Kate Beckinsale?
Woo! I'm telling you what, there's a run for its money right there.
Kate Beckinsale too. Whenever I see her on talk shows, she's unbelievably intelligent.
Oh, she's super eloquent.
Hilarious.
She's like,
I mean, she plays pranks. I mean, she's like the perfect woman.
Like
amazing.
Kate Beckinsale in Underworld as the hunter, Celine. Just forget about it. Just forget about it. But on top of that, she's like Oscar caliber actress.
Right.
She's not just some action. She's Oscar caliber. Like I love Kate Beckinsale.
I want someone to do a reality show about her, just like following, not like the Kardashians, but I just want to listen to her talk about stuff.
Yeah.
Like just pontificate about life.
All right, let's take just a couple more here.
Yeah, I think she's in the hospital right now for a little, nothing too serious. I saw on the news a little ovarian cyst explosion. So, she posted it all over social and stuff.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Get well soon, Kate.
I know. She's
the world
so
needs
great.
you.
Patrick Conway. If Black Widow is R-rated, I doubt it'll be a hard R. I don't see there being any nudity or much swears. I say it's more due to the detail of the Red Room.
Possible. Look, the funny thing is, we talked about this before, but you can get away with a lot of stuff in PG-13 these days.
Yeah.
And the things that normally are the things that will push you over into R are nudity, sexual content, and a lot of swearing. Other than that, just don't show blood, and you can almost get away with anything.
Yeah.
So, I agree with you. If in some weird, twisted, through the collider kind of universe mashing thing from Spider-Verse, that there is an R-rated thing, I agree. I don't think they would go very hard R at all. All right, what's next?
Curtis Lopez. Guess the quote. Drop that zero and get with the hero.
Oh, my God. Ice, ice, baby. That's from Cool as Ice. I just, look, it is, there's no question. There's no debate. There is no rival. It is the greatest awful movie ever made. Cool as Ice is easily the greatest awful movie ever made. Get a bunch of friends together, serve some adult beverages, and then sit down and watch Cool as Ice together. You are going to be sick to your stomach. You're going to be laughing so hard through the whole thing. Some iconic lines like drop that zero and get with the hero. She says in front of her boyfriend. And the immortal words, yip, yip, she likes me. It's just a movie you have to see. All right, let's do one more.
All right, Rohit Mukundon. A new Netflix Korean period zombie series called Kingdom.
What you, Rob, was just talking about?
It's pretty good. Great medieval palace drama mixed with some cool zombie gore.
Well, Rohit, you're the second guy today to recommend it to me.
Yep, it's really good.
I'm going to have to go and check that out. All right, guys, listen, from everybody else, Curtis, Edgar, Angel, Travis, Cobra, Baby Boy, all the way down, don't you worry. I'm going to take these questions that we still have outstanding. I'm going to address them today on a companion video. That'll go up a little bit later this afternoon or earlier this evening. Keep your eyes open for that. I will get around to all the questions there. But we've run out of time now for today's episode of the John Campea Show. Thank you guys for being here and making this worth doing. I want to thank, of course, sitting right beside me, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, where can people find you online?
Well, you can find me mourning the death of Han first of all. You can find me on Twitter at BurnettRM. Find me on Instagram at RMBurnett, or find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnettwork, or my website, theburnettwork.net, one word.
And, of course, over there, the wonderful Ashley Whalen. Ashley, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram at Ashley Whalen, ASHLEYYWHELAN, and Twitter at AshAttack1.
And you guys can, of course, follow me on Instagram and on Twitter, simply at John Campea. Special thanks to Jonathan Voico, to Ray Orr over there. And again, guys, a special thanks to you. No even point doing the show if it wasn't for you guys being here and being a part of it. That'll do it for us for today, guys. My name's John Campea, and until the next show, bye-bye.